if you look at Genesis 1 is a poetic way of telling an historical truth. If I were to give you a poem of the Civil War, you would get some good historical truths out of it, but you wouldn't stretch every word to its literal extent, right? You go, hey, I got, this is a poem here. Look, it starts with the same phrase, and God said, right? It ends with the same phrase, and God saw it was good, right? It's got 3 days of creating, then 3 days of filling. Day 1 and day 4 are congruent. Day 2 and day 5, day 3 and day 6, right? God is telling the ancient Israelites a historical truth in a poetic way. And I think if you really look at this, by the way, the creation account is a polemic against the Egyptian creation account. Look, these people.
Bars, bro. And did y'all even notice that like our hyper literals that are like really like paying attention to the detail of it? Like, did we notice that there's correlation, or I guess congruency in like how it's written, day 1 and day 4, how they kind of reflect each other, and how they're just me. All right, my fault.
Just came out of Egypt. They're not walking through the desert going, I wonder how old this place is, right? That's not their question, okay? They want to know, is Yahweh the true God, or are the Egyptian gods the true gods?
Come on.
And if you look at the Egyptian creation story, says somehow these gods just pre-existed, but they're inside the universe and they bring order to chaos. Yahweh says, no, I'm outside the universe. I created everything out of nothing, and I bring order to chaos just by speaking. I don't have to fight.
That's such a bar, bro. That is such a bar, and that's a great distinction to make. Like genuinely, because like, which God would you worship? The ones that somehow already existed within the universe, and like, even though we can understand the universe had a beginning, apparently, like, if the gods existed while the universe already existed, then that means if the universe had a beginning, then those gods did too. But if there's a God that was outside of the universe before its existence and then brought it into existence, that means that it not only would have the intelligence to pass on, but it is the beginning of intelligence. Therefore, it's the source of all things, which makes sense to bring the beginning of a universe. You know, I think that's really interesting.